Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 20th of June. So today we've got two central banks meeting. We've got the Swiss National Bank this morning. We should hear from them at 8:30, he says off the top of his head. 8:30. We shall get the statements from them. Be interesting to see what they do. There's no expectation of a rate increase or cut, but we'll see what happens there. Their currency is, from their point of view, too strong. So maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows? Anyway, Bank of England. There's no expected surprises in terms of the rates. This time, whether the voting changes will be the key, probably the key point here. There's a 5% chance, I think, of a cut priced in at the moment. So very unlikely, and it's whether or not they give a bit better idea to what's going to happen going forward. But whether they give any clues whether it'll be August, but there's only even a 0.41% chance of it being cut in August at this rate. So it's not looking high, but a change of that sort of detail would see the pound maybe sold a little. Anyway, for now, everything's stubborn, including the Bank of England policy members. Right. Let's look at these markets then. The euro dollar, the euro just yesterday it barely did anything actually. I mean, this morning it's looking like it's going to take a tumble, but yesterday it looked like it was going to. So there's the 7 o'clock bar. It was looking like it was going to take a tumble. 8 o'clock it just pitched down for a moment and then immediately reversed, and then well, it did at the end. At 11 o'clock it pushed up for a little while. 10, 11 o'clock it started breaking through the previous near-term highs, but it's so fickle, and maybe it's just exhausted, whatever it may be. But looking at it from a 4-hourly point of view, if I was looking at this as a swing, I'd still think, well, this is potentially a swing to the downside. In fact, if you'd placed a swing yesterday with the high stop above that spike high, you'd still be in this trade. Okay, so do I think the pound will lose value? I'll come on to the pound now. Let's have a look at the pound. To be fair, it's very difficult to get an idea of what it will do, because the more stubborn they are, in sense, you would expect that the pound will hold there and maybe even run an increase in value, because they're not cutting rates. However, I wouldn't. It could be. It's the detail. It's sort of like trying to second guess things. Motaz. I would leave. I'd wait, see basically, and see what it starts doing, and what sort of comments they come out with. As I say, there's nothing priced in for anything before August, and yeah, even that's not solid. So anything that sort of gives a bit more guidance. July, well, it's a voting month, isn't it? Election month. It is quite rare for them to do anything in an election month anyway. So yeah, it's leading into August. We'll see. Anyway. So what's it looking like? The pound's actually has. Let's just look at the technicals here now. Then, if you ignore any news coming out, we've got this sort of big flags which clearer on the 4-hourly still sitting here. It has had a reaction yesterday into its weekly pivot eventually. It then consolidated and didn't. It's just ages before it actually set anything looking like it was going to roll over here. And with the news today, I've avoided it. Now, technically, it's put a lower high in on the shorter time frames. It is still very restricted, and you look at the daily pivots, and okay, I've only got a few sets on here, but the last 3 days it's been pretty pretty thin in terms of the movement. The average true range will be coming down as this continues here. Anyway, so looking on the soft side at the moment, but I'm not going to try and trade it before the news is out there or second guess it. That's where a lot of people lose their money, is second guessing them what the market's going to do. There will always be someone out there who will give you the hero show. It's very unlikely they're going to cut the rates. That we do know. The probabilities. Right. The dollar yen, well, the dollar yen just continues on this path here. I've struggled to find trades on it. I mean, it's just really again very, very slow. It started strengthening yesterday. Oh, good, Ian. And now it started pushing up. But it's so it's above its 158 area. It's sitting around there. But well, we'll wait for the Bank of Japan on that, so I'll stay off that. So at the moment I'm staying off the pound, I'm staying away from the yen. The Aussie's been picking up. Yesterday it picked up and continued for a little while. It's sort of running back towards the top. I mentioned this I think it was last week. It seems a long time ago, maybe in earlier this week, of the potential for this to run back to the highs, where it's actually some of the highs, it's back up there. So it would have hit my range top. I know we've got the spikes above here, but that would be pretty much done for me. I'd be out. I wouldn't be trying to catch anything too clever on this. Maybe it'll be worth waiting to see if we get the move to the downside now. If it does continue to move up here, break through the highs, well, we've got the previous highs there still to provide resistance. No, I'm sort of looking at this in a bearish way, because it's just really a market that's chopped horribly, effectively. You look at it on the dailies, it's not the clearest with all the data that's come out there. It was sort of talk that they might actually increase rates, or might have to increase rates. Anyway, dollar CAD, well, continued its sell-off yesterday. It's just the dollar here against the CAD. We're back to its which pivots that? Which one? It's the R1. So it's back to its R1. It's quarterly R1-ish. Finding a bit of support around that level. Not really doing too much. There's not a lot of clarity here. Maybe today if we get a break to the upside. It's quite ugly in terms of a market. There is still this sort of more significant, I suppose, lower highs, lower lows kicking through here. So it still is in a descending range where it's sitting at the moment. If we were to draw those lines on, makes the long side not really the best, and we'd be really looking just for continuation to the downside. Not from here. I did more a look at this. It's just sitting on its daily 50. These markets are really tightening up at the moment, and it's knowing when not to trade. And I think really what we're seeing is I didn't get anything tradable yesterday, and it's just staying out of it. It just keeps. Look at this New Zealand dollar. Yesterday it just pipped up there, not really doing too much, just chopping, consolidated, best left. US dollar Swissy. Now the Swissy has been doing okay, but yesterday, look at that tiny little bar. If you can see it, there's a tiny little bar there that's well, you can see the range here. Let me just take this off now. It's gone. It's barely doing anything. The one thing I would say, it's consolidating around its quarterly pivot, and there is a chance we could break that at some stage to the downside. It might just give us a continuation, but of course we've got the Swiss National Bank meeting this morning, so why the hell am I looking at it, you could ask. They're not liking this. They want to see their currency weaken. Euro yen. Now this at times is, I mean, I've got an auto trader that runs on this, but it did catch me a nice trade on Monday, but it's not doing a lot since, and it can be a bit thin on the market a month, and well, we could be moving back into the thin side of things with the way it's just chopping. It's not giving much in the way of opportunities, and I'm just looking at it in any other sort of, using other analysis, technical analysis. Reversal it back into its daily pivot here. It hasn't hit the R1 yet. Maybe we could get something, but the euro itself is lacking. The euro pound, a common pair, that's traded, it's sitting in, again, daily wise, it's sitting in quite a range here, and whilst the market's like this, you can come down to the very low time frames, but they're very untradeable. Motaz, well, let's have a look at the commodities now. You timed that perfectly. So the commodities I do look at, and I haven't traded gold for a long time, but we will look at gold first, and I look at oil. So we'll look at it's as if you read my mind. Okay, so gold wise, gold actually is picking up a little bit today by the looks of things. It's been, again, one of these. I've been just sitting aside of it because it's largely, whilst it's doing this yesterday, I want to be into a market that's got at least a bit of a trend going on, ideally on the upper time frames, but importantly on the intermediate time frames. I want to see something happening. You could argue this 4 hourly is intermediate sort of time frame. It is starting to trend to the upside there. Again, it's got the higher lows kicking out of this range. Some will argue it still sits in a sideward range. I'm not keen at the moment. I mean, for today, it's already into its R3. It's already had quite a shove there this morning. So it ain't for me today. Oil, I'm starting to look back into. I was been away from oil in terms of the overall chop that we'd been seeing in it for so long. It's just made it a non-tradable commodity for me for now. But it's look what it's doing. Whilst it's doing this, it's great. I mean, a couple of days ago there, beautiful 2 o'clock move, shove on the 2 o'clock bar. It's my favourite. Is coming from this lovely bull flag, starting to build up there and running off at 2 o'clock. Lovely, up to its R1. What more could you ask for? Yesterday, well, not really moving anywhere. Coming into sort of 2 o'clock time, it starts selling. Not really convincing at all, and it's sitting around that area now. Maybe if we get a bit more of a pickup this afternoon and gets back above that daily pivot, it could see further upside, and that I'd rather be trading into that then. But we'll look at that later. Equity markets. Just come out to the time frames here. You see how tight those pivots are, but it's like someone's turned this off yesterday. It was basically, it was closed yesterday, wasn't it? It was closed, but there's barely any real movement kicking through here. And today, well, the pivots are so pinched, they're worthless today. This is when to ignore your pivots, even though we've had a reaction to it. What's our 4, our 5? Goodness. But they're irrelevant today. It's too tight. So very little going on there, but a continuation. There's no chance of me even thinking of trying to counter trade this market. It's too much upside risk. So, and there isn't an entry. I want to retrace. Need something to get into a market. Now the S&Ps, the Nasdaq, again doodling up there. Nothing of a market yesterday. Just crawling up, down the same. In fact, Dow still remains the sort of the weaker cousins. Looking, I don't know what happened to the DAX last night. Had one hell of a spike there. Let's have a look at what happened there. Say last night. Something happened which I'm not sure whether it's just Pepperstone's data or whether it actually happened. But it does look softer. This is, it's a 4-hour picture. It's got the lower highs, lower lows. This intermediate time frame. It does look quite soft. So I'll need to investigate that a little bit more and see what happened. But not looking pretty at the moment. And it didn't for most of yesterday. It did start coming off. I looked at it in the morning thinking, well, this could give us something more, but it wouldn't go very much anyway. And finally the FTSE really in stalemate. So most of these equity markets, they're not really moving to any great extent at the moment, which is obviously, well, I say obviously, I should imagine a lot of traders will be looking around all over the place to find something to trade at the moment. The thing is, if you're not familiar with trading these equity markets and know their little old qualms or whatever else, they're best avoided. If you regularly trade them, you've got your stats on your strategies you're using, that's fine. But there we go. Other markets I've been keeping a look at. You talk about commodities. I've been looking at likes of copper or whatever else. This has continued its route southbound here. It got well and truly overbought there. It's probably getting closer to where it should be now, rather than where it got inflated with all this sort of expectations back here. But still looking southbound. Anyway, that's another market you really need to understand a little bit. The silver, similar. I'd be wary. It's pushed up well this morning, but it's been sitting there quite flat. Follows gold much more. Anyway, I shall leave things here there for today. Here I'm going to carry on in the trading room in a short while. I wish you guys all a safe journey, a safe trading. Take care. Catch you later.